All right, let's talk about something called shadow work. Now, I know that might sound a little heavy, right? But the idea behind it is actually incredibly empowering. This isn't about battling some inner darkness, not at all. It's really about reclamation, about realizing that the very parts of you that you were taught to hide away are exactly what you need to become whole. And this quote just perfectly captures the whole thing. It completely flips the script on how we usually think about self-improvement. We're always told to fix our flaws, to get over our weaknesses. But what if those parts aren't weaknesses at all? What if they're actually a source of incredible strength, a medicine we've just been taught to see as poison? That's the big idea we're going to unpack. So, where does this all even start? Well, it begins with a conflict I think we can all relate to. It's this sort of war within ourselves, where we're constantly trying to hide or manage or control certain parts of our personality just so we can feel accepted. I mean, this happens to every single one of us. Maybe it was a parent, a teacher, maybe it was just the culture you grow up in. We get these messages, sometimes out loud, sometimes just a feeling we pick up, that certain ways of being are not okay. And to get love, to feel safe, to feel like you belong, you have to, well, you have to edit yourself. You learn to put on a show, to perform a version of you that's a little more acceptable. Do any of these sound familiar? I mean, really look at them. These are the labels that we start to believe about ourselves. Maybe you were told your passion was just too intense, or your ability to feel things deeply made you too sensitive. Your energy was too much. Your curiosity about the messy parts of life was too dark. And so what do? We learn to turn the volume way, way down on these essential parts of who we are. So, what happens to all those parts of you that you turned the volume down on? They don't just vanish into thin air. Nope. They become what you could call your exiled self. And this is what the shadow really is. Okay, this is so important to get. The shadow is not some monster. It is not the evil part of you. Think of it more like a bag you've been carrying your whole life, and it's filled with all these amazing pieces of yourself that you were told you had to get rid of to survive. It's a collection of survival strategies, and yeah, they might have worked back then, but now they're probably holding you back. This slide really lays out the huge shift in thinking. The old way, the way most of us were taught, is all about fix what's broken. It assumes there's something wrong with you. But this new way, this path of reclamation, it says, hey, wait a minute, this isn't broken. This is a precious part of me that got rejected, and it's time to bring it home. One way is a battle, the other is a homecoming. And this is the absolute core of it all. That energy, that authenticity, that spark you feel might be missing from your life, it's not gone. It's just locked away in those parts you exiled. Your greatest power isn't going to come from becoming some perfect version of yourself. It's going to come from integrating all of yourself. Okay, so if our power is hiding in these exiled parts, what does that actually look like? This is where we start to find the gifts that are hidden inside what we've always thought of as our flaws. We're going to look for the sacred purpose behind all those so-called negative traits. This is where the whole idea becomes so real and practical. So, take anger. We're taught anger is bad, full stop. But what is it really? It's the energy you need to set boundaries, to say no. Sadness isn't a weakness. It's what gives you your depth. Fear isn't just about being scared. It's the source of your discernment, your wisdom. And that wildness everyone told you to tame, that's your life force. That's your vitality. You see, nothing about you is a mistake. Not a single part of your personality is actually wasted. It's all just energy. The only question is that energy being pushed down and creating problems, or is it being welcomed back and used for its true purpose? Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. How do you actually start doing this? Well, the good news is the framework is actually pretty simple. It's just 3 steps. First, you have to shift your mindset. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. Then you have to consciously decide. You make a choice that your goal is not perfection, it's wholeness. And wholeness means all of you gets a seat at the table. And finally, you act. You don't have to fix everything at once. Just pick one thing, one quality you've always rejected about yourself, and just get curious. Ask it what its hidden gift is. And that brings us to the final and honestly the most important part of this whole thing. This is where we stop just talking about it and start turning this knowledge into real personal insight.
Let's just walk through a couple of questions to kickstart your own reclamation process. So just take a second. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What part of you did you learn was too much? Was it your laughter, your creativity, your sensitivity, your drive? What was the thing you were taught to dial back so you could fit in? Now let's look at the why. What was the payoff for suppressing it? And this is not about judging yourself. You have to acknowledge that back then, you probably made a smart choice. You did it because you needed something really important. Love, safety, belonging. You were just trying to protect yourself. And here is the other side of that coin. What has been the price of that safety? What has it cost you to keep that part of you hidden? Has it cost you your energy, your sense of being your true self? Has it dampened your power and made you feel like you're living a smaller life than you were meant to? I just love this image because this whole process isn't about burning away your so-called imperfections to be reborn all pure and clean. No, it's about realizing that the ashes, the messy, difficult, exiled parts are essential. Wholeness is rising up with all of it because you realize the ashes are part of your power too. And so I'll just leave you with this to think about. That one part of you that you identified, that too much part, what would your life actually look like? What would it feel like if you stopped fighting it and instead you invited it back in? What if you turned to it and asked, what gift have you been trying to give me all this time? What would change if you finally made it an ally?